Yeah, so do check out these predictions in the chat, guys, as we are loading into. Let me find light. We are loading into Ancient Cistern, our first map of the semifinals, and we are loading into a TvT with, first up, our red Terran representing DKZ Gaming. It is the regular man, the regular guy, Oliveira.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ancient Cistern, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. Here we go. Kuro, you've joined us just in time for the TvT, but it's okay because it's a Korean TvT.
Nice.
So it's going to be quick.
Oh yeah, and I mean ByuN is making sure of that. He's going straight for the natural, not even like middle of the map, like hiding behind. Nah, just straight into the natural.
This is almost as aggressive as you can be. The only thing that tops this is like a Rax outside the main to float into the main.
Which we've seen in a tournament recently.
We have seen before. We have seen it before. But yeah, here we go. ByuN is going for the proxy Turax in the natural base of Oliveira. Ay, ay, ay. Hyper aggression coming out from our Terran, from our Korean Terran. Meanwhile, the world champion is none the wiser as he's still finishing up his own Rax back at home and is not going for a Rax scout or anything like that. So he's going to be in the dark for quite some time until those Reapers reveal themselves.
I would say that is an interesting position for the second depot. Like, it's not a spotter depot. I guess it looks over the ledge, but like, what is the purpose of this SimCity?
I believe this depot, if we do have some Reaper battles here around the ledge, it does kind of bait out some auto attacks from the Reaper, so it does help out a little bit in the micro and the back and forth. So yeah, we do see Oliveira moving across the map with his first Reaper when he's gonna need an attack at home because ByuN, he's banking up those Reapers. He's well, got it up. He sees.
You only just saw it. The SCV is gonna fall immediately. There is no wall, and Reapers don't care about that anyway. The factory will be denied, and there are only SCVs here to defend.
Yeah, only SCVs. The factory is going to be delayed a little bit longer. We do have that one Reaper coming back in, but how good is the target firing from ByuN? It looks like he will lose a Reaper.
Well, he loses a Reaper. The second one is pretty low, but there are reinforcements coming. Once again, he has 2 Raxes producing Reapers compared to the single one of Oliveira. He has to pull the SCVs, but the SCVs can't quite catch up either.
Yeah, but ByuN losing 1 Reaper is already a big deal, and he loses a second Reaper, and this is too much damage. ByuN is forced to back off. He has to transition.
Yeah, I mean, he still has to finish producing these Reapers, I guess. He just keeping pressure on Oliveira as he needs the time to transition.
Yeah, exactly. But this is snowballing quite heavily in favor of Oliveira already. We have the CC on the low ground as well. As we do see ByuN trying to rotate over towards the right-hand side. Is going to slip into that mineral line to try and do a little bit more economic damage. And we'll see. He actually does target down that mule.
Ooh, nicely done by ByuN, getting a bit of damage, sniping some SCVs now as the Hellion is not quite in the range.
Yeah, this was a bit of a slow reaction out of Oliveira. It took him a little bit too long to really pull those boys, and as a result, he does take quite a bit of damage. It looks like he's going to be able to clean everything else up, though, and he was taking damage because he's moving out across the map with the rest of his army.
So I like how ByuN doesn't even stop. He just keeps making the more Reapers. Only now he lifts those racks.
Yeah, but he had to because that's all of his production. Now he has nothing else on the map. Boys are being pulled. They're going to be able to get a slight surround, but the Hellion from the low ground does support.
Yeah, very nice support there from the low ground Halo, and this is enough. Oliveira takes the game.
GG, well played. ByuN literally had nothing left on the map. No production. He had a Cyclone on the way, but it will take too long to produce. And ByuN gets punished for his cheese.
Yeah, this is why this build is risky. Because if it doesn't work, I mean, well, you're kind of screwed.
No, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
But if it does, then it works.
There you go.
And you know, they both want to win the game.
Oh. Shaking my head, shaking my head. As we are getting into this, and yeah, really powerful start here from Oliveira. As you were kind of alluding to, when you do a proxy 2-racks like this, it is so important that you keep your Reapers alive and you snowball with them. If you lose 1 or 2 Reapers, especially early on, then that does quickly spell the end of the cheese. That spells the end of the aggression. And we saw that come into play there. Like ByuN, things very quickly went in favor of Oliveira once ByuN started losing those Reapers. And we are going to be getting into our next game. Game number 2. Potentially the final game. We'll see. We'll see, as it is a best of 3. So you don't really have too much room to work with here. ByuN is up against the wall.
I mean, if ByuN goes for a crazy build like this again, this would be like one of the fastest TvTs I've seen, probably. But let's see what happens as we are loaded in. And wow, Light is really, really far in the list today. We have a lot of casters here, because those are the semifinals. And we are in game 2 of this TvT, looking at our red Terran from DKZ Gaming, from China. It is Oliveira.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Dragon Scales, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. This time, with his racks at home.
Yeah, at an interesting spot as well on that Reaper cliff.
Yeah, just going to be denying that Reaper cliff. Meanwhile, a more standard positioning here from Oliveira with his own racks. But what's important is that both players, they have their racks back at home. You know, we're going to be chilling a little bit more instead.
Okay, now question to both of us, not Terrans. Oh, never mind. I thought one of them... No, let's see works. One of them is going for 2 gas, and one of them is going for 1. What does it mean?
Means Oliveira is setting up for a Racks Expand, just like in TvP, for example. Meanwhile, ByuN is going to be going for a delayed expansion instead, going to be a little bit more aggressive, going to have a faster factory. So yeah, kind of a bold move here from Oliveira, as it can sometimes be risky to go for an economic opener, just because of how aggressive TvT can be in the early game.
I mean, we saw that last time.
Yeah.
Literally last game. But Oliveira did make it through, and he managed to take that game. And we'll see how the more macro game is gonna play out, as Oliveira now has a chance to completely scout ByuN's base.
Yeah, interesting choice. So Oliveira, he scouts, he confirms the double gas opener, he sees the factory as well, and even though Oliveira, he was about to throw down his CC on the low ground, he goes up instead and he throws down the CC on the high ground just to be safe.
Yeah, I guess after the recent games, he doesn't quite trust ByuN to not be super aggressive, so he makes sure he keeps an eye on the base and just, plays more defensive.
Yeah, so it looked like initially Oliveira didn't see the racks, so he actually got into his own head.
Yeah.
That's why he threw down the bunker first, because he was like worried that the racks was proxied. But after he saw the factory at home, he's like, okay, it's not a proxy 2 racks, like I can actually start my CC.
I mean, you say that, but there are 3 SCVs on the ramp.
Yeah, he's still terrified.
He's actually terrified.
Yeah, meanwhile, he goes in with his SCV. He doesn't just see the CC on the low ground, he also confirms the Reaper, but oh my god, once again, Oliveira will lose the Reaper across the map.
Yeah, I mean, at least he denied that CC, so that is very nice for him, but as you said, unfortunate to lose the Reaper, as the 2 of ByuN will now be coming to him, and I don't know if he has any units to defend. He does have 2 Marines.
He's got the Marines here at the Reaper Cliff. He pulls the boys as well because he will need to be able to defend, because he lost his Reaper earlier. But you can see ByuN is going to the natural base. He sees no CC, so ByuN himself is got to be wondering what's going on, because he never scouted the main base. He doesn't know what opener Oliveira really went for.
What if Oliveira is cheesy?
Possible. It is possible.
Technically possible.
Yes, ByuN is going to be pushing on forward here from the natural. Meanwhile, Oliveira still rallying everything towards that Reaper Cliff, is looking to land the CC, and with this CC, he should be able to get eyes on the army of ByuN.
Yeah, he will see that army, or he should have seen that army anyway. And ByuN will try to deny that CC, but it does land, and he will get some damage on it.
Yeah, yeah, he'll be able to chip away at this base. Back at home, ByuN is working on his tank, he's working on his medevac, so he's going to be going for a drop across the map. Very aggressive follow-up here from ByuN as he wants to be in the face of his opponent as quickly as possible. This is also the kind of the advantage of the faster gas from ByuN as well. He's just able to kind of get into this tech that much quicker.
Yeah, and he does have his drop prepared, getting a tank, getting some marines as well for reinforcements, and he will be reinforcing that frontal army with the Hellions and Reapers, and he should be able to push into Oliveira's base as the tank is about to pop out, so I guess it will depend on positioning.
Yeah, it will depend on the tank, will depend on the focus firing as well. As here we go, ByuN is diving on forward with that medevac. The Oliveira is quick to siege. His Cyclone is coming in from the high ground, and he even pulls the boys up.
Yeah, the boys are being pulled, and so much damage is so much damage from the tank. It does survive for quite a while, but it goes down eventually, and there's still forces remaining for ByuN here.
Yeah, and it looks like ByuN has been able to overwhelm GG. ByuN just with barely enough breaks the natural and takes game 2.
GG.
Yeah, and we saw Oliveira getting into his own head a little bit that game. We saw, again, he was initially afraid of a proxy rack, starting the bunker, throwing down another bunker behind it as well when he didn't need it. Like, he was very paranoid of what ByuN was up to, and that was kind of delaying himself quite a bit and using some of those valuable resources early on. It forced him to maybe even overcommit with his first Reaper. Fun fact, very rarely do Terran players send their first Reaper across the map unless they feel it necessary to, and losing like these 1 to 2 units here and there that early on, like it can be a big deal.
Yeah, definitely, and it's kind of like where the mind games start, right? Because ByuN was so aggressive in the first game, like Oliveira was overly careful because he didn't want to, like, lose the game very easily, and that's what happens.
And this is when ByuN proxy 2-axes again.
Yeah, because obviously he's not gonna do it again, so he's gonna do it again, so he's not gonna do it again.
Yeah.
So he's gonna do it again.
That's
or not.
That's how you TvT.
Yeah.
As we are going to be diving into the ace match, game number 3 between these two lovely players. So far, it's been a very fast series. Game 1 ending in a couple of minutes. Same can be said for game 2. But how will game 3 turn out? If ByuN has anything to say about it, it's going to be another short one.
I mean, game 2 was a little bit longer. It wasn't like a macro game properly, but it was a little bit longer. Like, it started more standard. It just escalated.
Yeah. Escalated very quickly as we are going to be getting into the ace match. Game number 3, it's going to be taking place on Royal Blood.
Indeed it will. And we are loaded in. Just hold on. Okay. My game was broken for a second. That was terrifying. But we are now in the game, and we are once again looking at our red Terran from DKZ Gaming and China. It is the regular guy, the normal man. It's Oliveira.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion. Tying up the series 1-1 in that last game, it is ByuN.
And look at that. All the buildings are in the bases.
The buildings are in the bases. No proxy racks is in sight. They're crazy.
Crazy. How can you play TvT like this?
Yeah, and Oliveira has had enough because it is his turn to be the aggressor as Oliveira is going for the double gas opener. Meanwhile, ByuN is going for a more economic racks expand, so the roles have been reversed.
Yeah, the roles are reversed, but if you remember last time, Oliveira was very defensive, and we'll see if ByuN is, because something tells me that ByuN isn't one to, like, quote-unquote panic into defense, I feel like he's more committed to whatever he's doing.
Yeah, he's more decisive overall, and I do expect him to not fumble as much as Oliveira did in game 2, but we'll see, because again, Oliveira's aggression I'm sure is quite powerful as well, as we do see ByuN going for the CC on the low ground. No fear whatsoever, because ByuN also doesn't go for an SCV scout. If you remember, Oliveira waited for his SCV scout before like deciding if he wanted like the CC on the low ground or on the high ground. ByuN,
Yeah.
he just doesn't care what Oliveira's doing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He just decided what his build is. He's just gonna go with it, and you deal with the consequences of that.
Exactly. And we do see the first Reaper coming out, and again, because of the opener, this Reaper does stay back at home. Does even have that SCV to tank the first shot, but Oliveira has the SCV as well. The meat shields.
Oh my god, the tag team versus tag team.
And here we go. We do see Oliveira sustaining a lot more damage on his own Reaper. Likewise, it looks like ByuN will lose his own as well. Up.
Yeah, he loses the SCV though to the grenade, and now the Reaper is too low, and Oliveira will get to deny this CC.
Wow, there we go. Oliveira coming out on top in the overall micro, and that's something you don't see too often. Oliveira having better Reaper control than ByuN.
Yeah, I mean, ByuN is known for his Reapers, and second SCV falls down. This CC is not going up.
This is snowballing, because now we have the second Reaper. No, the Hellion comes out just in time. ByuN will maintain control of his low ground, will eventually finish that CC, but it took quite a lot to actually get that up.
Yeah, very nicely done by Oliveira. He did lose that tanking SCV, but it was only a single SCV for all these denials, so very nicely done.
Yeah, very nicely done indeed. We see he's not done either. He wants to maybe get a kill on that Hellion. Will lose a Reaper in the process, and he has to be very careful here with how he trades against the army. Likewise, ByuN, his army is deep in the red. Oh.
Yeah, loses the Marine. All of the units are really low. This grenade is actually terrifying.
Oof. Very clutch there as both players trade out Hellions. Looking at the units lost tab here, we see pretty similar trades, but ByuN has lost more workers. He did get that delayed CC. Oliveira getting his own up and running, and even though Oliveira went for a more aggressive opener, we now have an even worker count.
Light, I don't want to spoil it, but I think we're going into a macro game.
Oh, you thought wrong.
Oh, okay, never mind.
ByuN once again is going for that medevac. He's got a tank on the way. With said medevac, he wants to be aggressive. He's waiting for the Reaper, will shut it down, but the Reaper did see the medevac, so Oliveira is aware that a drop is very likely here from his opponent. Does have a Cyclone getting in position, his Marines as well, as ByuN is still looking to be quite aggressive.
Okay, he is getting the drop rate. I like the single Widow Mine that's just waddling across the map, just, you know, to catch any potential drop or maybe a move out from Oliveira. Always a nice catch.
Very nice catch. Likewise, Oliveira, after having a better early game, is going to be going into a very fast third CC, so Oliveira wants to capitalize on his advantages and just excel even further in the economy. We'll see if he can get away with this. As we were mentioning earlier, ByuN is being active on the map here with this drop, is looking for some damage.
Yeah, this time ByuN didn't take the tank with him though, it's just his Marines, so with Oliveira's defenses, I actually don't think he will get much damage unless he catches him off position.
Yeah, and we'll see what ByuN does find. It looks like he can catch maybe a stray Marine, but no, Oliveira is quick to pull back, has a tank sieged up at the natural as well. ByuN is denied entry and is forced back. And now from here, we're in a really interesting position where ByuN, is going for his own, what looks to be a 2-base all-in, because that's a second starport.
Okay, so what are we massing from this starport?
Oh my god, interesting choice. So typically, initially we amass Vikings and then we get into Liberators, but we're getting into a pretty fast first Liberator here from ByuN.
Okay, I mean, it's always a nice tool for harassment or maybe some nice positions during the attack, but ByuN is not even waiting for these units, he is actually just moving out.
So the goal here with this build is that the Vikings give you map control, they shut down the Ravens, they shut down any Vikings of your opponent, and then there's no way to stop the Liberator. Like, the Liberator just bullies the ground army and sieges up and forces on sieges from tanks and just forces Oliveira back.
Yeah, and ByuN is getting a setup here between the natural and third base of Oliveira. Will he be able to siege here?
Oh, we have the disable in the first tank. Likewise, Oliveira responds to the disable. Likewise, ByuN also disables the second tank of Oliveira. Do we have enough Marines, though?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot is there, and the reinforcements will be coming for Oliveira. The Cyclone is getting in, but it gets demolished.
Yeah, Oliveira, he bleeds out too much. He lost his tank, he lost his Cyclone, lost a lot of Marines. The Vikings are showing up. The Raven gets forced out, and here comes that Liberator.
Yeah, and even if the tanks stay, like, there are only a few Marines for Oliveira, so he can't really overpower these, and ByuN is just leapfrogging towards the third base.
Yeah, and this is too much. The third base is being punished. We do see Oliveira coming in, carpet bombing those tanks. He's going to be able to get both of them with that drop.
Yeah, very nice drop from Oliveira, but there are still 2 more tanks. There are still Vikings. The Raven does get sniped, but there is still a second one.
Yeah, and again, with this Liberator, the tank and the natural goes down. The boys are being pulled. Oliveira trying to go for a full surround.
And he will get the full surround. He does get the Raven. There are still units left over, but the tanks are alive.
Tanks are alive. They're out of range of the Liberator, and it looks like Oliveira is going to be cleaning this up. Even though Oliveira lost a lot of SCVs, remember, he does have 3 CCs and triple mules.
Yeah, but so does ByuN. I mean, he doesn't have a third CC, to be fair. Or does he?
No, it's still on the way. Again, ByuN, this was pretty committed out of him to go for this double starport play. This was designed to end the game, and it didn't quite end it. He doesn't have stim either compared to Oliveira. You can see that ByuN doesn't have any upgrades at all, so his army, it's just not anywhere near as good right now.
I'm actually surprised there's not even Steam, and he tries to drop again, but Oliveira is ready for him. But once again, he doesn't have a lot of units, so he has to force SCVs off the line.
Yeah, but once again, Oliveira does hold, and again, this is looking better and better for Oliveira in a way. Like, the one thing that ByuN has for him is a better worker count, but with three orbitals, sorry, Oliveira can make up for that over time.
Yeah, and Oliveira decides to go on the offensive. This Medivac with a single tank will try to drop into the mineral line, and there's nothing to defend.
He's gonna get damage done. That one drop doing a lot. That one tank doing a lot. As Oliveira's focusing on his counterattack instead. What do we have at home to defend? We have the Vikings being landed. The tanks will siege up as well. Good target firing out of ByuN. He does get the one tank, but it's not gonna be enough. GG gets called.
And Oliveira takes the game, takes the match, 2-1.
GG, well played. Again, that double starport build is quite cheeky and very aggressive, as we saw, but oh my god, Oliveira, not even just with this round, but even before that, diving on top of those 2 tanks with that drop, resetting or just killing those tanks initially and going for the surround was just a beautiful setup from Oliveira. Oh.
Yeah, very nicely done. Like, Oliveira, he's been doing pretty well, like, defending from ByuN's aggression this entire series, I feel like. Like, obviously, it doesn't always work for him perfectly, but he's been trying to keep up with ByuN's aggression every time.
Yeah, he really has been, and he was able to here in the game 3. And it's really impressive, especially because he didn't know what was coming. Like, when he scanned the main base, if you remember, before the push happened, he missed the starport because the starport was hidden at the natural instead. So he was working with some incomplete information. Despite that, he takes it in the end. Better execution, better positioning as well, and yeah, GG. Oliveira moves on to the grand finals.
How fitting, Oliveira in the grand finals of KungFu Cup.
There you go. Meanwhile, we're heading over to the land of the Americas for our next semifinals. As we have a couple of updates, we have our second semifinals ready.